This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 17th day of September in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Under heavy security, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo arrived in Guyana late this afternoon after a day of meetings in neighboring Suriname. At the Chedijagan airport, the Secretary of State was welcomed to the country by Foreign Minister Hugh Todd and U.S. Ambassador to Guyana Sarah Ann Lynch. This is the first time that a sitting U.S. Secretary of State is visiting Guyana. Just after his arrival, Mr. Pompeo was visited the city and is being hosted this evening at a dinner with the President and his cabinet. Tomorrow, the U.S. Secretary of State will meet again with the President and the Foreign Minister. During an early morning meeting, Guyana and the U.S. will exchange diplomatic notes for joint maritime patrols to interdict narcotics in a bid to provide more security in the region. The Secretary of State will also sign a Growth in the Americas Memorandum of Understanding tomorrow. That MOU will permit Guyana to improve its investment-enabling environment so that the country can benefit from transparent infrastructure investment that respects Guyana's sovereignty, according to a U.S. government official. The crisis in Venezuela will also be discussed. The situation in Venezuela has been described as the hemisphere's largest refugee and humanitarian crisis. Issues related to Guyana's natural resources are also on the agenda, and Mr. Pompeo will meet with representatives of the U.S. oil companies in Guyana. He's also scheduled to meet tomorrow with the CARICOM Secretary General Erwin LaRocque to discuss U.S. carbon issues. Mr. Pompeo will leave Guyana just after 12 noon tomorrow for neighboring Brazil. More news coming up in a moment.
Isuzu D-Max, built to work. Whether it's mining, construction, agriculture, or just adventure, Isuzu D-Max does the job. Put it to the test. Isuzu D-Max, engineered to keep every promise. Marex is the authorized dealer for all Isuzu products. Marex, telephone 226-1482 and 226-1306.
The government of Guyana invites supermarkets and shops in all regions to submit expressions of interest to supply items for the COVID-19 Public Assistance Program Phase 2. Applicants must demonstrate capacity to supply canned and bottled food products, dry and fresh rations valued between $25,000 to $32,000 per voucher, have adequate space in their business as per COVID-19 guidelines, or for sanitation facilities. Interested applicants can uplift the expression of interest form and selection criteria from the Civil Defense Commission in Georgetown or at your nearest regional executive officer's office between 9 to 15 hours, or request by email at pavpgy@gmail.com. Kindly deposit completed forms on or before 9 hours September 30, 2020, along with copies of valid business registration or certificate of incorporation and NIS and GRA compliance into the tender box at the National Procurement and Tender Administration, Main and Urquhart Streets, Georgetown. These must be in a sealed envelope, clearly marked expression of interest to supply items under the COVID-19 Voucher Assistance Program Phase 2. No expression of interest will be accepted by email. The Civil Defense Commission reserves the right to accept or reject.
Falls, the official distributors of Castrol Marine, Mining and Power Gen lubricants in Guyana, now has in stock CRB engine oils, high-spin hydraulic oil, Vecton semi-synthetic truck oils, and Sultex cylinder oils. For the best prices, check our dealers countrywide or visit Falls Gas Station at Land of Canaan, East Bank, Demerara, or call the commercial manager on 608-4998. Castrol, it's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
Guyana, we've been through it all.
But as a people we have
weathered every storm
and risen to every challenge.
Because it is the people of Guyana
that gives it its strength.
all the people,
regardless of race,
class, or religion.
We are one people, one strength.
And now is our time. A time to rise. Together, we rise.
Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Mobil Special and all other Mobil lubricants are distributed by Sol Guyana Inc. Welcome back. For the third straight day, the death toll from coronavirus in Guyana has climbed. The Ministry of Health, in a statement this afternoon, announced the death of an 83-year-old woman from Region 4 and a 52-year-old man who is also from Region 4. The two deaths today have taken the total death toll to 62. The two persons passed away while receiving treatment at a health institution. Relatives have been contacted and the ministry is also conducting contact tracing. On Tuesday and Wednesday, a total of 4 deaths were recorded, and 4 other deaths were recorded this past weekend. In the past 6 days, the country has recorded 10 COVID-19 related deaths, with the majority of those persons being elderly citizens. The Health Ministry also revealed today that the country has recorded 43 new COVID-19 cases. 25 of the 43 new cases are from Region 4. According to the Health Ministry, the country currently has a total of 649 active cases, with 584 of those persons in home isolation. There are 16 persons in the COVID-19 intensive care unit. While Guyana today recorded the 10th COVID-19 related death in the past 6 days alone, the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony, stood in the National Assembly and accused the previous APNU-AFC government and the former Health Minister of a cover-up of cases of COVID-19 and related deaths in the country. During his budget presentation, Anthony claimed that the former government did not test all deaths between March and July for COVID, although some of the persons who passed away had symptoms of the disease. He claimed that staff members at hospitals were instructed not to take a sample from those patients who died so that their deaths would not be counted. It is the first time that such a claim has been made against the former government and officials in the health ministry.
When you had a person who had all the clinical symptoms of COVID-19 and they passed away, the staff was instructed not to take a sample from those patients so that we wouldn't test them, and therefore those deaths would not be accounted for as a COVID-19 death. But Mr. Speaker, there is a methodology that the WHO can use to determine what is now called excess death during the pandemic. And we will be using that methodology, and we will be showing you that all the mistakes that you made then, that we will bring it to light.
Without providing details, the health minister also claimed that a cover-up of statistics was also taking place during the first months of the pandemic in Guyana.
The People's Progressive Party civic government took aggressive steps to strengthen our response, ensuring that there was an aggressive laboratory testing program, expanding contact tracing, providing exposed persons with testing and counseling, providing for an effective hospital treatment and care program for the critically ill. Mr. Speaker, we have been able to engage a number of international partners such as the PAHO, WHO, CARPHA, CDC, World Bank, IDB, the Islamic Bank, the CARICOM governments, the USA, Canada, the European Union, and so forth.
Dr. Anthony also told the House that the government will continue to work along with international organizations to continue its fight against COVID-19. Between March and July of this year, Guyana recorded 20 COVID-19 related deaths. In the past 6 weeks, an additional 42 deaths have been recorded as the daily number of infections continues to rise. While the Guyana government today asked the Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer at the Lands and Surveys Commission, Trevor Benn, to proceed on his annual leave from tomorrow and begin a handover process. He has been asked to prepare a handover takeover statement that will be given to the manager of land administration, Enrique Moniz, who will be acting in the position of Chief Executive Officer of the Lands and Surveys Commission. A request has also been made by the government through the Permanent Secretary Abina Moore for Mr. Ben to document the status of all pending matters at the Lands and Surveys Commission for the President. Ben was appointed to the Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission in 2016. He is a former program analyst at the United Nations Development Program and is also a former senior land developer at the Commission. In the run-up to the last election, he was criticized by then-opposition leader, now Vice President Barrett Jagdeo, over a number of land leases approved by the government. But Ben responded publicly to the claims by Jagdeo and proved that the land leases that he was questioning were all legitimate, and many of them had been approved since under the previous PPP Civic government. Just after it got into office in August, the new PP Civic government stripped the Lands and Surveys Commissioner from approving land leases, putting that power back with the President. Ben is credited with turning around the Lands and Surveys Commission by modernizing its system, remapping the country using the latest technology, and making the entity financially viable. 3 inmates of the Lusignan jail who escaped and were recaptured back in May appeared before a city magistrate this morning to face charges related to their short-lived escape. The 3, Anthony Padmore, Saisnarine Bisnot, and Ganesh Danraj, all appeared via Skype before Magistrate Mittelholzer, and they pleaded guilty to the charge of escaping legal custody. According to a police statement, Padmore was sentenced to 2 years in jail, while the other 2 men, Bisnot and Danraj, were sentenced to 21 months in prison. At the time of the escape, Anthony Padmore was serving a 3-year jail sentence for trafficking narcotics. Saisnarine Bisnot was on remand for armed robbery charges, while Ganesh Danraj was on remand for murder. The 2 are still awaiting those trials. The government intends to strengthen local democratic organs through a number of initiatives and programs, according to the Minister of Local Government, Nigel Dharamlal. During the budget debate today, Mr. Dharamlal said that in many communities and across the townships, there is a need for development, and his ministry will be focusing heavily on ensuring the local government bodies are provided with the resources needed to take care of their communities.
So the subventions to the NDCs will go out, $350 million. The subventions to the municipalities will also be going out, over $100 million to enhance services. And it will be done equitably. It will be done with real supervision. It will be done to ensure that lives are enhanced in our villages.
And with an oil economy growing, the local government minister said the regions across Guyana must also be prepared for investment. And that too will be a focus of his ministry in the coming year.
We will also begin consultation with our regions to ensure that the capacity, the capabilities, and the different characteristics of those regions are enhanced so that they can start attracting investment.
The local government minister said there will be a need for focus on job creation in many of the regions, as it has been found that many persons are still clamoring for jobs at the regional level. Under the previous APNU-AFC government, local government elections returned after an absence of more than 2 decades, and 4 additional towns were established. Many of the towns across the country have been pressing for a bigger chunk of the budget pie to assist their communities in rolling out various projects. Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobile Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc.
We all know a strong educational foundation is a key to successful learning. Global Technology combines award-winning curriculum with innovative technology and teacher support to help students reach their potential. Our online platform creates an engaging learning experience. Using any device, you can be a part of amazing class discussions, collaborate with others, and have access to virtual learning software. With our multiple payment methods, you will never have to leave home. Find out how global technology can allow you to learn anything, anywhere, at any time.
Falls, the official distributors of Castrol Marine, Mining and Power Gen lubricants in Guyana, now has in stock CRB engine oils, high-spin hydraulic oil, Vecton semi-synthetic truck oils, and Sultex cylinder oils. For the best prices, check our dealers countrywide or visit Falls gas station at Land of Canaan, East Bank, Demerara, or call the commercial manager on 608-4998. Castrol, it's more than just oil, it's liquid engineering.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right. Walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about. And ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Mobil Delvac and all other mobile lubricants are distributed by Salt Guyana Inc. Across the region right now, the Barbados government has signaled its intention to recognize same-sex relationships. The Governor-General of Barbados, Dame Sandra Mason, addressing the opening of a new term of the Parliament, said that the island has always been in the vanguard of pioneering social justice, the protection of civil rights, and the battle to ensure dignity to the poor, marginalized, vulnerable, and dispossessed. Dame Sandra said that the legal systems of modern societies recognize many different forms of human relationships, and that Barbados is now increasingly finding itself on international lists, including within the multilateral system, which identify the island as having a poor human rights record. She said the Mia Mottley administration will do the right thing, understanding that this too could attract controversy. Dominicans are paying attention still this evening to some volcanic activity in parts of the island. In reports coming out of Dominica, the government explained that they were investigating the seismic activity. The Office of Disaster Management also said it has been in contact with the Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies in Trinidad and Tobago, which is responsible for monitoring seismic activity in Dominica. The government has issued an advisory to the public to stay clear of the area where the activity is reported to be taking place. And finally, at this time, international news. The BBC reports this evening that new weekly coronavirus cases in Europe have exceeded the numbers reported when the pandemic first peaked in March, according to the World Health Organization. Speaking earlier today, the WHO regional director said 300,000 new infections were reported last week alone. Some European countries, including the United Kingdom and France, have recorded their highest daily tallies in months. Testing capacity has increased across Europe since the pandemic began, meaning that cases are now more likely to be identified and recorded. Hospital admissions and deaths have not yet seen a similar rise, although Spain and France are seeing an upward trend. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley, reporting.